So, the Batman has finally arrived, and oh boy, I am so excited to put my thoughts out there about this film. With Batman back on the big screen in his own live-action film for the first time in 10 years, I bet you're all wondering, what did I think about it? Well, I'll let this man explain it to you. Yeah, it's no surprise, I love this film. Okay, so where to start? Well, I will start off by saying that this is without a doubt the greatest Batman movie of all time. Everything about this film is just brilliant, and my hype from the first trailer has increased tenfold since seeing this movie. Okay, let's start with the cast. So, the cast for this movie I think is pretty much flawless. Robert Pattinson, despite what people said about him early on, I think he is absolutely brilliant as this new Batman, and it's the greatest portrayal, at least in my opinion, since Ben Affleck in, I think, 2017. And not only that, but Paul Dano is absolutely brilliant as the Riddler, and he's finally been given justice on the big screen. Sorry, Jim Carrey. Zoe Kravitz was great as Catwoman, and she has great chemistry with Rob. Alongside that, the other supporting characters are great as well. Andy Serkis is great as this older father figure version of Alfred, and I really loved the chemistry that Andy actually had with Rob in this movie. That was very good to see. Colin Farrell was brilliant as the Penguin, and while I don't like how little he was used, he is still really good in this movie. And John Turturro is pretty solid as Carmine Falcone and finally redeemed himself after the Transformers 2 mess. Okay, the plot for this movie plays out like a detective story, like Matt Reeves has actually said, because the film follows Batman solving the death of the Met, and eventually it leads him to various suspects like Penguin, Falcone, and then he faces the Riddler. But what I learned was the Riddler himself is more of a psychological match for Batman rather than a physical threat, so to speak. Yes, we have Bane to thank for the physical aspect, but people like Riddler, Hugo Strange, and maybe even the Joker are more or less psychological threats to Batman. And yes, Riddler could have certainly tried to kill Batman himself, but I just love that Riddler doesn't really need to overpower Batman with physical strength. Batman is, after all, the world's greatest detective. So, as we've seen in the trailers, the action scenes in this film are very, very good, because I don't think there's a single thing wrong with any of them. I'd say my two favourites in the film are the Iceberg Lounge scene where Batman first encounters Penguin, and the Batmobile chase scene towards the film's, I believe, second act. Now, both have a lot of solid action in there, and they really showcase Batman as a violent character. Batman's fight with the gang on the train platform, which we saw quite a bit of in the first trailer, it just showcases the brutality and just the skills of this new Batman. It's something that I'm really looking forward to seeing down the line in this new sort of Matt Reeves Batman universe. Now, to speed up this review, here's the pros and cons of this movie, at least in my opinion. So overall, I would say the Batman is absolutely fantastic. It lives up to the hype, and even more than that. So I think it's no surprise that the Batman gets a 10 out of 10. If you're a DC Comics fan or a casual moviegoer, I would highly recommend seeing this film.